So the topic for the day is understanding mutual authentication. Okay, so students, what do you mean by mutual authentication? Both the parties, before communication, they have to authenticate themselves from the both the sides. For example, in an internet banking scenario, it is important that a customer is interacting with his bank itself, okay, that not with anyone else. Similarly, bank also should be able to verify the customer's identity. So you can see here in this situation, both the parties are able to authenticate themselves, and you can also understand that how important it is for both the entities to authenticate for security purposes. So students, there are few protocols basically for these things. So first one is nothing but the authentication, shared secret based authentication. So the name, as the name suggests, shared secret. Okay, so the common secret, students, there is one secret, it will be shared between both the parties. So if you can see the 11.4a diagram, first diagram, so the communication is happening between A and B there, okay, and they know one shared secret. Okay, so you can see in the message 1 in the first one, this thing diagram, in the message 1, A is sending a message to B. Okay, so as our authentication happens, A is telling its identity, A is telling his identity as A, and he is sending a challenge named RE to B. So B is basically responding, okay, B is basically responding to it, okay, using common secret, which is nothing but K. So that which whatever you can see there, okay, EKRA, and it also is sending its own challenge RB, okay, or whatever we call in another words nonce. Okay, so in message 3, using the same shared secret, even the A is also able to basically understand or basically respond to these nonce RB. Okay, that is what we can see in the third message. So this is basically a flawed protocol. So some things can go wrong here, students. So that is basically called as a parallel session attack, what we can see in the diagram B. So in the diagram B, students, what we can understand is the communication is happening between A and B, but C, who is basically an attacker over here, he is telling himself as A, and he is sending to message to B. Okay, so basically his challenge is RA basically. Okay, so obviously B basically using his common secret, okay, that K basically is a common secret, he is encrypting it, or is responding to the nonce RA, and he is sending his own RB nonce. But C basically, students, you know that doesn't know, it cannot encrypt, okay, it cannot encrypt, or basically it cannot decrypt, or it cannot understand basically RB, because he is an attacker over here. So what he does, in the same time whenever the message is happening, he is now sending the message to actual A. Okay, he is telling himself as B. Okay, so obviously, so A thinks that B is communicating with him, so he responds to it using EKRB message, which we can see in 2 dash message, and he is sending his own basically RC, okay, his own nonce. Okay, then obviously his own nonce basically B, the message goes to B basically in the third this thing, and basically using the details whichever he has got from A, he can respond to RB's nonce. So that is what you can see in the third message, EKRB. Okay, students, so basically here C students, he is coming between A and B, and he is doing the communication. So students, this is basically a problem here. Okay, so in order to avoid such kind of problem or attack, so this is also called as parallel session attack. Basically there is one solution, that is nothing but students, what we can do here is nothing but the whenever the message, we can just see the diagram. So in the first message, A is sending basically his message A with his challenge RA, okay, and when B responds, okay, he has to encrypt his own knowns, which is RB, okay, also, okay, RB he also has to encrypt, okay, and that along with RA, which is basically encrypting, he also has to encrypt RB also using that common shared key. And when he does that, only the actual key A using that common key can decrypt it, which you can see in the message 3 of the corrected protocol. So this is what happens in the shared secret based authentication. Next one is using public key cryptography. Okay, so see at the first one. So here also in the similar manner, students, the authentication happens here. Okay, the difference is nothing but instead of the shared secret, the public key basically is used. Okay, so we can see that in the diagram, in the first message, A is sending knowns, okay, and also his own certificate also he'll send, and he'll tell this is A, okay, to B. Then obviously B is responding to A. So how does he respond? He will concatenate his knowns, okay, which is nothing but RB, and you can see here square bracket, okay, and outside B, small b. That means basically the concatenated knowns RA and RB is signed using B's certificate or B signature, to be more this thing. Okay, then responding to that, basically A also has to sign basically. So A will sign the B, basically B's knowns, okay, in the message 3 using A's signature. Okay, so this is basically the again a flawed protocol. So what can go wrong here is nothing but, students, look at the Bth diagram, 11.5 Bth diagram. Basically A basically is sending a message to C. So here we can understand that, students, A want to speak to C in this case, okay, but see what he is doing in another hand. He is contacting to B, telling that A has sent a message. Okay, so first of all, first question is why C has to basically speak to B there. Okay, because A wanted to speak to C, but C is sending to B. That means C is playing some sort of game over there. He is basically an attacker in between. So B thinks that A wants to speak to him basically. So you can message 2 dash A as the common mechanism. What happens here? He will encrypt the knowns. He will concatenate first of all his knowns, that is RB with RA's knowns, that is he is responding to it using B's signature. Then that basically first C receives, then C basically he will redirect that message to A. Okay, so once A gets the response, basically A will basically respond. Okay, A will basically respond to it using his signature, and that is basically forwarded by C in message 3 dash to B as RBA. So basically, students, C is coming in between, and that should not happen, students. So basically what we can understand here is nothing but properly the people, when they are communicating with each other, they are not understanding who is communicating. Okay, so students, in the corrected protocol, what we can do is nothing but in each and every communication, along with the knowns, they have to send their identity also. So that what we can see in the 11.5 C, that is corrected protocol. So you can see in message A1, A is sending his identity, even in message B also the identity is there, A's identity is there. Okay, similarly in the corrected protocol, B's identity is there. So that is how it is, students. So properly they'll understand, okay, to whom the message is to. Okay, so that is what is happening in mutual authentication using public key cryptography. The next one is nothing but combined mutual exchange and combined mutual authentication and key exchange. So students, here two things are there, students. The process is will happen like the previous two cases only. Okay, to be more specific, like the second case. So here, students, what we can understand is nothing but if you see at the 8th diagram, okay, the first diagram, that is 11.6a, along with the response, students, see here what they are doing is nothing but they are using the session key here. Okay, that is a part of the key will be there in A, and the part of the key will be there in B. Okay, so first one is using secret key cryptography, where the secret key, a part key will be with the A and part key will be with B. So students, you can see, and we have already seen that the public key, using public key or private key in the entire thing or entire authentication process, basically it is there basically there may be a problem using that way. That is nothing but the key might get compromised in between. Okay, so if one common key is there, means that key, if it is getting compromised, then that is a problem, students. Okay, so in order to avoid that, what we are doing here is nothing but the key is shared between two entities, that's all. Okay, so that is called a session key. Okay, temporarily, and these are used temporarily. Okay, so in the first diagram, whatever you can see is nothing but using secret key thing. The second diagram, whatever you can see is public key is used. Okay, that whatever you can see here, A E A P U. Okay, in the second message, if you see in the second diagram, E A P U is nothing but using A's public key. Okay, and outside the square bracket, nothing but B's signature, like what we have already understood in the previous case. Okay, so that is what happens here. All other things are like the previous cases only. Only the thing is not a single key is not used. Instead of that, a combination of keys used. That's all. So next one is the timestamps, students. Mutual authentication with timestamp. Here the concept of nonce itself is not used, students. Okay, whatever we used to see RA, RB and the nonce itself is not used. Instead of that, a timestamp is used, students. So whatever you can see in the first diagram, the communication is happening between A and B. So there you can see the TA, something is there like TA. The TA is nothing but the timestamp. Okay, so the basically, students, what happens is that in message 1, A inserts a timestamp, basically TA, in his message and signs it, and B, on receiving the message, checks whether the timestamp is sufficiently recent. Okay, so it should be recently sent. Okay, so he verifies it in such way. Okay, that once he is clear, then he puts his signature and sends it back. Okay, so you can see in the second message that B is putting his signature and sending the after verifying the timestamp TA, B puts his signature and he responds it back to A. So while responding it, he just increments it. Okay, so that is nothing but TA plus 1. Okay, so basically here the message, whatever the message, inside the flower bracket is nothing but a message along with the timestamp. Okay, and that is basically encrypted, okay, using the public key. Okay, PU, A's public key. So this is all happens in the mutual authentication with timestamp. Instead of nonce, they are using timestamp TA and TA plus 1. All other things are same. Okay, finally we understand about the dictionary attacks. So there are two types of dictionary attacks, online and offline. So online is nothing but basically, students, getting the password using the guessed password. That is nothing but, students, some people while giving the password, they may give their own names, or they might give their their surnames, or they may give their places, okay, their living place or something. Okay, or some simple passwords like 1 2 3 4 5 6 like that. So if the attacker knows about the history of the person, he can easily guess the password and he can attack. So that is called as online attack. So in order to avoid this online attack, students, what they have done is they have put a limit on the guessing passwords. So that is why we can see, okay, that we can only put the password twice or thrice, we cannot put more than that. So that is basically a online attack, and that is how they avoid online attack. And offline attack is nothing but they are getting the entire file, okay, password file. So that such kind of thing is nothing but offline attack, and they will basically go through, or they will basically loop through that file, okay, loop through that file. Such kind of attack is called as the offline attack. And basically we are using a protocol, something it is called as encrypted key exchange, E protocol. Basically that protocol is used basically to avoid this offline dictionary attack. Okay, thank you students. So this ends our module 3 chapter 1. Okay, so